Welcome back to the F1 2017 career mode, and you join me for the Season 3 Italian Grand Prix. I do sincerely apologise for the delay in uploads of this series. I've had a myriad and a frustration of technical difficulties. I had edited this part and a few others, and then that was on like my old PC, around my girlfriend's, and then I came here to my new PC, about a year-old PC, whatever. And they've gone off my hard drive. So that was frustrating. And yeah, so that was a bit of a setback. And again, I do apologise for that. But nonetheless, what it allowed me to do is get ahead with my recording. So, but before we get into those new recordings and those new videos, etc., etc., we have this one, the Italian Grand Prix. Came into qualifying. Because I'm trying to smash through it and get this season all wrapped up, wasn't really paying attention when I jumped in after practice, and I left my old power unit in. Nice worn components for the Italian Grand Prix, just what I want to do, and I only get one lap because of the cooling fault. So here's our one lap. I'd strategically managed to come out just behind the Force India of Sergio Perez, so my intention is to compensate my lack of straight line speed by sitting behind the Force India, who is punching a massive hole in the air, but 215 miles an hour on the brakes, down to just 50 as we go through the first chicane. Beautifully processed and on traction back into the slipstream of Sergio Perez as we now fall and flow around Curva Grande, let the car go out wide, bring it back in, back over 200 miles an hour, brake just before the 100-metre board, and that enables me to tuck in, ride the curb brutally through the chicane. The flag has dropped, so this is our only qualifying lap through Lesmo 1. Kiss the curb, don't try and run it out too wide, didn't really want to get caught in the understeer behind the Force India. We've gone a little bit wide out of Lesmo 2, but thankfully I still think we're picking up a bit of slipstream from the Force India. DRS wide open as we now head down towards Ascari now, and we're half second down on Hamilton's time. It is to be expected considering the age of our power unit. We take a lot of curb through Ascari, unsettles the car on exit, and now we're back on full acceleration down towards the Parabolica. Over 200 miles an hour. Once again, I'm losing some of the slipstream effect now. The Force India of Perez got just a bit too far ahead of me. Stamp on the power halfway through. Run it out wide, up to 8th gear as we come across the line. What is this lap going to do for us? We cross, and it's P7. The team seemed happy with it, considering it was a worn power unit. I was pretty happy with it as well. Granted, the slipstream of Perez must have really helped out the start, but Lewis Hamilton on pole for Mercedes, Valtteri Bottas P2, just to be expected, with Vettel and Raikkonen leading a Ferrari 3-4, Force India 5-6. Then we disrupt the pecking order in 7th in our McLaren. Then we've got a Red Bull 8 and 9, and Fernando Alonso in 10th, rounding out the top 10 qualifiers. The strategy itself, as we move on to race day, a simple one-stop, super soft, onto medium. We don't really want to be pitting twice. You lose a lot of time, albeit it's a short pit lane here in Monza. Obviously, the cars are rattling down the straight to over 200 miles an hour, and we don't want to be losing any time compared to anyone else. 5 lights. And lights are out. Away we go for the Italian Grand Prix. I have fueled the car up ridiculously heavy because we are going to be utilising that rich mix all the way down the straights. Perez is at a monster of a start. We're on the outside of Esteban Ocon, and we have to take avoiding action and brake to prevent us losing our front wing against the rear of Kimi Raikkonen. So, coming out the first chicane, everyone has gone into single file. We are still 7th. No one's really gained or lost. I mean, Perez gained a place, which is pretty impressive. But now, in the slipstream of Esteban Ocon, over 200 miles an hour. Can we dive it down the inside of the second chicane? Just missed the back of the Force India. My voice just cracked horrifically there. I do apologise. I did not expect Perez to, Ocon to take that corner the way that he did. We now then drift wide. Car fat with fuel as we go through Lesmo 1. Now at the end of lap 1, you've got Bottas in P4, Perez in P4 and Raikkonen P5. Hamilton still leads the way as we head on to the second lap of the Grand Prix. We're still getting a lot of speed. Raikkonen looking to get the slipstream off the back of Sergio Perez. Is he going to make a move into the first chicane? He thinks about it and thinks better of it, but we've got Vettel defending from Bottas there, and that's actually slowed everyone down ahead of them. Raikkonen then cuts across on traction, so we can't get ahead of him. Ocon originally has a look and then can't get past me on the traction. We then sit in the slipstream of the Ferrari of Kimi Raikkonen through Curva Grande. Sparks flying off the back of the car. Can we make a similar move to what we did against Ocon on the first lap? Yes, we can. Down the inside, go very deep, have to bump across the sleeping policeman and the curb, but no, that is us ahead of the Ferrari man and up into P5. This car working wonders, low downforce, nice high engine power, and that is us up, like I say, into 5th position. Then Vettel started to drop back from 2nd place, unfortunately. He appeared to have some kind of power issue. His top line speed on the straights was not exactly very impressive, so that's, you know, the Tifosi aren't going to be too happy with that, but it's really outside of Sebastian's control. What's in our control, however, is the ability to sit in Vettel's slipstream. So you see us here charge down towards Parabolica. Can we make a dive at 210 miles an hour? No. Think much better of it, and actually that's allowed Raikkonen to have a much better run through Parabolica, so he re-overtakes us up into 5th place there, and I really don't want to be having any of that. So on the exit we took a wider line, so that allowed me to get ahead, and then we pulled ahead back into the slipstream of Vettel. We pulled to the inside, he runs us slightly off of the road, but we pull ahead of him with plenty of room to spare before the first chicane, even though a bit deep under braking. Thankfully I pulled out enough of a gap in a straight line there to be able to come back on the circuit and defend myself. Next up, now that we're ahead of both Ferraris, is Sergio Perez, a nice Mercedes-powered car, running nice and high. Then, of course, we've got Bottas second and Hamilton leading the way. We set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix at the end of lap 6, a 24.0. And, of course, we've only got a couple of laps now until we're coming in for medium tyres. So, really, my aim for this stint is to get past Sergio Perez before we go to the mediums, because I know that on the hardest compound tyre, the car didn't feel great round here. Corners like the Lesmos, I was just understeering like a bus. And you can see now by lap 8, we've caught up to the Force India man nicely. We've got 3 seconds back to Kimi Raikkonen, who has now jumped Vettel. And Bottas and Hamilton aren't too far away, but obviously we need to worry about them after the pit stop phase. Again, we're in the slipstream of Perez going into the Parabolica. Again, we just think better of it. Tuck the car in nicely for a good exit now. We're going to sit in the slipstream. We're going to have DRS going down the main straight, and this looks almost academic as we cross the line doing 200 miles an hour. And just look at the speed difference. It's so nice to look at this footage now, remembering what the Season 1 McLaren Honda was like, and now just all the speed we've got is just, oh, I couldn't ask for more. I really couldn't. But anyway, that's us past Sergio Perez. I'm going to bump the car now down to standard because I've burned off my 3.5 laps of fuel in this opening stint, but we're now going to run it out wide, and we're going to be coming into the pits of the end of lap 9. We're going to be very careful on the speed limit there, because it is very easy to speed in the the Monza pit lane. Hamilton in first of all from Mercedes. He was the lead car, makes the most sense. Perez went for another lap, interestingly enough, so I don't quite know what his strategy is. Those tyres must be very worn. 2 seconds flat by the McLaren boys, an excellent pit stop, I must say. That's not going to cost too much in the long run. 23.7 for the pit lane. Palmer gets past us. We've got Sainz just flying around our outside. He's doing 200 plus at this point, and he pulls ahead slightly, but I can't afford to lose time behind him, so we're going to go deep into turn 1. Daniel Ricciardo now setting the pace. I don't know if he's made his pit stop yet or not. I would imagine him to be that far down the field, but we've defended from Sainz, and we are now back up into P7 after more cars have made their pit stop. There's Sergio Perez. He did a few extra laps. He came in at the end of lap 11. That's allowed him to fit the soft tyre for the rest of the Grand Prix. So, interesting tactic by Force India. That might pay dividend now, but let's see how that works out for them later on in the Grand Prix. We now find ourselves up behind Jolyon Palmer in the Renault, who started outside the top 10 and therefore has started on the soft compound tyre. And he's found himself in the lofty heights of P5. Jolyon doing wonders there for the Renault, and he's just very slow through the corners, though. It is costing me a little bit of time at this point. It got a little bit frustrating. Obviously, I didn't want to go too close up behind him in the Lesmo corners, because that would allow the car to understeer. So I've had to drop back a little bit, which will allow me to get DRS and slipstream on this back straight as we head down towards Ascari, and then I'm hopefully going to slingshot myself past him out of the corner. So here we go. Let's see if the plan comes to fruition as we take a big old chunk of inside curb, follow the car quite nicely, and we're nice and close up behind him on the exit. We're pulling to the right hand side on the straight. Bit of grass kicked up as we go too wide, as we now head down on the inside of Parabolica. We're not going to have to make a dive like I've considered doing to multiple guys already in this Grand Prix. Hamilton now sets the pace as he continues to lead. Hulkenberg now also on the soft tyres. So both Renaults trying to take advantage of their ability starting outside the top 10. We're now up into P3 there. As you can see, Ocon was also on the soft tyre. So I don't know if he started on that tyre, actually. I wasn't really paying that much attention. But now, after the pit stops have settled down a little bit, Perez is in 4th. Raikkonen has caught up to him in 5th. And he's now setting the pace in this Grand Prix. So Raikkonen, we've got to keep an eye on our mirrors. Safety car deployed, though. And Hamilton, Lewis Hamilton, race leader, out. You see him on the right-hand side there. Is out of the Italian Grand Prix. And it was all starting to come together for Lewis Hamilton, who's had, by his standards, a terrible, terrible season. Sorry, I allowed Jeff to speak there with Raikkonen. Apparently he has some kind of car issues. So the lead Ferrari man, Kimi Raikkonen, who was hunting myself and Perez down, he's going very slow, pulling off to the left-hand side there. Let's jump on board with him. This is behind the safety car, bear in mind. He's gone on to the power. And what's happened here? Oh, his left front has just blown up. I can't think of what would have happened there, but as we now carry on, Bottas now. And it's all gone wrong for all the top teams behind the safety car. Hamilton caused it with his mechanical failure. And Bottas now apparently has a mechanical problem as well. Apparently he can still go. As you can see him here leading the pack, backing us all up into Parabolica. As racing resumes at the end of lap 19. We've got 8 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Raikkonen limping it back to the pits there still. But Bottas leads as we go on to lap 20. Not for long, though, as we're going to pull out of his slipstream down towards the first chicane. Bottas comes across, not very aggressively. Typical Valtteri Bottas. And we're going to get it slowed down, nicely held on the inside. And that is us up into the lead of the Italian Grand Prix. And we just confirm there if he still has the problem. As we saw there back in Silverstone, if we remember, Bottas had an issue, but it was resolved pretty quickly. But that's now us gone from looking like a 3rd place and losing 3 points to Bottas, to it then looking like we were going to lose 7 points to Bottas having an issue, and we're now in the lead of the Italian Grand Prix. Now lap 23, Perez on his soft compound tyres. We run wide through Lesmo 2. See what I mean about the car? As the mediums got more worn, it just unselled the car through the high-speed right-handers due to the low downforce. Perez got DRS. He's going to have a look. No, but he's very close into Ascari. Less than a 10th separates my McLaren and his Force India and Sebastian Vettel. Whatever issues he had earlier on in the Grand Prix have been resolved. He tried to attack us at the end of the race. He's up to P2, but it doesn't matter. We're going to come out of the Parabolica and we're going to come across the line to win the Italian Grand Prix.
Podium now. Great race from the McLaren team, and I'm really happy to see them there on the top step of the podium.
So there we have it. We win the Italian Grand Prix ahead of Sebastian Vettel and Sergio Perez. Esteban Ocon getting up into 4th place. Excellent weekend for Force India. Alonso getting 5th after starting P10. Valtteri Bottas in the end slipped down to P6. Magnussen getting points for Haas. And Hulkenberg coming from 16th to 8th. Excellent drive there from Nico Hulkenberg. Daniel Ricciardo dropped down, had to make 2 pit stops, finished 9th. And Jolyon Palmer, double points finish for Renault at a track that really doesn't suit their car, is pretty damn impressive if you ask me. But yeah, big story is Mercedes' failure after looking like they were back on top. As we go over to the Drivers' Championship, we now have a 77-point lead over Valtteri Bottas. If you had asked me at the start of the season when I was saying this was our title challenge, I wouldn't have believed it. I genuinely thought it was going to be harder than this. It just all fell apart for Mercedes on a track that they should dominate at. Vettel is closing in on Bottas. He's only 20 points behind him. Then Raikkonen, the only other man above 100 points. Hamilton, like I say, awful awful season down in P5 on 94 points, and Alonso there on 63 points in 6th place. Perez actually overtakes Verstappen, so Force India fighting Red Bull to be arguably the 4th fastest team. But yeah, it just seemed a little bit too easy after Belgium, and then this. I'm like, I know I want to win the title, but I'll be honest, I very much felt the game was giving it to me at this point, or trying to give it to me, but like, hey, here's your championship after, you know, looking like I was going to lose 7 points to Bottas in Belgium, and again here, maybe 3 or 7 points to Bottas for him to actually close in, for me to then outscore him by, you know, 12 points, or more than that, actually. We cut to the constructors' standings, and McLaren now 339 points, 73 points clear of Scuderia Ferrari, who jump 3 points ahead of Mercedes on 263. Then we look back, and it is, as I said, Force India there have jumped up to 4th with 146 points. They are now 7 points clear of Red Bull Racing. And then, of course, we've got a big gap between Renault, who are only 4 points out of Haas, so that could be an interesting fight towards the end of the season. Toro Rosso, Williams, and Sauber with 5 points. So every constructor scoring points, which is what I like to see. You know, I like people getting points. I've got a soft spot for every team to score the points. Obviously, we've just been in the McLaren for this career mode. It has been a road to glory, and what a glorious weekend it has been here for us at the Italian Grand Prix. But yeah, I mean, essentially, you know, a little bit of, you know, outside of the video. I'm hoping, of course, to win both titles. Not because, you know, that's obviously my driver's ambition, but I want the achievements. You know, for those of you that were here for my F1 2016 career mode, I didn't actually do it in Season 3 for Ferrari like I wanted to. I had to then do a Season 4 off camera because, obviously, F1 2017 started. I'm not going to play an old game. And I finally did it the other day. I bought myself round to playing that game and finally got the achievements for drivers and constructors world champions. But guys, that has been the weekend for the Italian Grand Prix. I hope you have enjoyed. Yeah, Mercedes downfall, upsetting, really genuinely upsetting, but it's allowed us to build a bigger lead in the drivers world championship. We go to Singapore next, so Mercedes are going to struggle there. Ferrari tend to be okay, so we'll see what the battle brings between ourselves, Valtteri Bottas and Sebastian Vettel. If you have enjoyed, please leave a like on this video. I would really much appreciate it, and comment your feedback down below. And if you have really enjoyed what you've seen today, please remember to hit subscribe and enable them notifications to be kept up to date with all of the content that comes to the channel. Not just the F1, I know that's like my mainstay these days, but I've got, you know, got some little side projects that I like going on. Got some Dark Souls, because apparently I hate myself. Promotion. But yeah, once again, hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.